Welcome, everybody, to today's community meeting. As always, if you'd like to, please add your name to the agenda. If there's anything you'd like to discuss, feel free to add it to the agenda as well. I'll also mention for anyone watching, if you need to access this doc or any of our design docs, we always share them with the Sigstore dev group, which is linked right here at the top. That will let you edit this doc, and we always try to share our design docs with that group as well. Alrighty, well, we'll jump into things. We've had some exciting engineering developments recently. I'll touch first on Recore, and then Cody, I'll hand it over to you to talk a little bit about Cosine, if that's good. We have been working away at Recore v2. We've talked a lot about this in past weeks. Over the past few weeks, we've been actively developing Recore v2. We have a stubbed out API right now. I think we just added support for uploading entries. We're still working through a little bit of validation of entries. If you want to follow along, just go check out this repo. And then we also have a project tracker as well. If you want to see all of the things that are to come, we've broken stuff down by priorities and milestones. If you're curious, roughly our alpha milestone is going to include the core development of the service. Beta is a bit more about infrastructure and getting things stood up, and also getting all of the clients set up to support Recore v2 requests and responses. And then our GA milestone is focused on rolling this out into the production environments. And then, we have some interesting kind of unscoped projects that are tracked as future work for this space. But yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out on Slack or post an issue as well. We're happy to chat more. And then I guess one other thing I'll mention here is the plan for Recore v1 is at some point we're going to be changing out the code base. We'll move Recore tiles over to the old Recore repo. And at this point, we're unlikely to accept new features in Recore unless they are critical. If there's any larger changes that need to go in, we're unlikely to accept them, just as we're focused on Recore tiles, and Recore can somewhat be frozen in its current state, besides dependency updates or any bug fixes that are necessary. Alrighty, and Cody, do you want to talk about Cosine?
Sure. Yeah, the linked issue there, or linked PR, is the implementation of Sigstore bundle support for container image attestations in Cosine. So this is kind of the one piece of the kind of modernization of Cosine formats that's been happening over the last few months. Kind of starting with Zach Steinler's work on adding bundle support for Cosine blob signatures and attestations. And I've been working on this PR for almost 6 months, here and there, iterating to get support kind of in Cosine's native API, also for container image attestations. And this is, implementing the bundle format that is described in the protobuf specs repo that's adopted by the other Sigstore clients, such as Sigstore Go, Sigstore Java, Sigstore Python, and so on. This is adding support for that standardized Sigstore bundle format in the context of container image attestations in Cosine. So this is optionally enabled with a flag right now, the new bundle format flag, which defaults to false. So like currently, Cosine will behave the same for anybody unless they adopt that new flag. And our hope, I guess, is that eventually we'll be able to default to true on that and kind of migrate the community towards the newer bundle format. Currently, this only applies to attestations. So like the standard like Cosine sign for like naked signatures is not using the new bundle format yet, but it should be a pretty fast follow thing if we adopt a proposal of mine to use basically a new attestation predicate type to represent sort of these naked signatures. That option would be would break compatibility with the signature format in a way that wouldn't easily be able to migrate old signatures. So that would be a downside of that option. But I'd encourage people to read up on this if you have any thoughts um, or suggestions on how this might work for you. But this is just merged. I don't even think there's been a cosign release since then, and we'll be obviously we have some brushing up on docs and things to do, and also bringing support into policy controller. But a lot of that stuff should be coming up pretty fast. So definitely let me know if you have any questions or thoughts on this.
Great work on all of this, Cody. I think this is also really exciting to see too that for quite a while there's been very rough experimental support for signatures as OCI artifacts to be accessed with the refers API, but that was kind of always buried deep into cosign. It was kind of it wasn't a first class citizen in the tool, and so it's exciting to see that coupled with this bundle work, we're now making artifacts, OCI artifacts as well, and we'll get the benefits from that for improved lookup and I think a cleaner layout in the registry as well. Cool. I don't think we have any major updates for any of our client developments. I guess I can mention, I think I brought this up last week. Maybe I didn't. We have been working on a updated format for what's called signing config, which is the way of that we'd like clients to access which are the set of URLs they should use for signing. We have the trust root, which includes how to verify, but we did not have a standardized way to determine what the set of URLs that are needed in order to sign to contact Folsio to contact Recor. And as part of the Recor v2 work, we realized we needed to make some updates to signing config. So we shipped that a little bit, I guess like 2 weeks ago. We updated the proto, and then most recently, and I'll just leave a link here, Sigstore Go supports new signing config format. So that was just implemented. I also do not think we've cut a release yet, but if you're curious to take a look, feel free to. If you have any questions, just post about it. Paul, do you want to give infrastructure updates?
Yeah, I feel like it should be announced. Hayden, you can correct me. I think someone else on your team pulled the Terraform modules that we use for Sigstore infrastructure and which can be used for Sigstore private instance infrastructure out into a separate repo, which we're hoping will make it easier to make changes and for contributors to add other infrastructure such as Azure and AWS. Right now it's only GCP, so that's what we run on, but long term hope to add more providers to it. So thanks Hayden and your team for taking the time. That was not a small amount of work. So thanks for moving all of that out.
Of course. And I got to learn a cool feature of Git, which allowed me to copy over all of the history from scaffolding, but just scope to a specific folder, which was nifty. Yeah.
That's cool. I assumed there was something there. I didn't know off the top of my head. That's good to know.
Yeah. There's some, because you look through all the history, like these are all the old commits. I don't know exactly how it works, but I assume it's something like just for the given folder, it just does a linear scan from the beginning of time. It took a little while to do all this, but that was just time waiting for the command to finish.
Well, especially thank you for preserving all that history on that too. Of
course. Alrighty. I don't think we have any new doc updates. I'll mention in case you find updates to the TAC interesting. We did publish a update, I'll just put this under adoption. Update to the OSSF tech for Q1. We just published this yesterday. So this just kind of summarizes all the work that's been going on in the community, highlights Cosign, highlights Recore V2, and also touches on an upcoming classification for projects within the Sigstore community, where we'll label what's considered a core project, meaning it has a bit more support in the backing of the Sigstore TSC, versus community projects where they're under the Sigstore org, but are going to come with less support, and so consumers should be aware of that before they take any hard dependencies on them. Alrighty. It's actually been a bit since we talked to outreach and events. I guess I'll just mention there's a whole lot of conferences coming up. The one new exciting one that just got announced yesterday, the OpenSSF and the CNCF announced a joint conference called Open Source Security Con, I believe. From what I can tell, it's roughly a combination of the OpenSSF's SOS Fusion that happened last year and the CNCF's Cloud Native Security Con, which I think had been a spin-off from a small event at KubeCon. I think it had happened twice up to this point. So should be a really nice opportunity to chat with folks both working in the cloud space and within open source. That'll be co-located with KubeCon in November in Atlanta, in North America. So more to come there. And as always, if anyone is giving any talks on Sigstore, feel free to post them here, highlight them. And if you do have any talks that you present that are recorded and on YouTube, we're happy to include them in the playlist as well. Alrighty, I guess on to any other business. Arthur, did you want to chat all about PQC?
Hello, yes. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Arthur. I'm a software engineer at Red Hat. Various Red Hat teams, as many of you know, are interested in implementing post-quantum cryptography within elements of Sigstore. Obviously, that is a very large and sprawling project. So just as we're doing this initial design work, we would really love feedback from the community where you think sticking points are, where it might be easiest to add, crypto agility in. I know there's already been some excellent work, but really this is an open forum. If you have any ideas, please reach out to me or any of our lovely people at Red Hat. We have many people working on this. So.
I'm very excited to see some other teams taking a look at this too. This has been personally a little bit of a pet project to see more crypto agility throughout the Sigstore ecosystem, with the goal of being able to start experimenting with the set of algorithms that NIST has standardized. I'll also drop in here a blog post which one of our old community members wrote up a little while ago that more or less just kind of highlighted the number of places that would have to change within the Sigstore ecosystem. Nothing's too much of a surprise, but roughly, I think this table got messed up a little bit, but roughly we're going to have to change what the default is for the in-memory key, and obviously the services will have to get updated. I guess it's nice to highlight here that the Merkle tree bits itself don't have to change because hash algorithms are not going to break in a post-quantum world, but obviously the signatures will. So this just kind of touches on everything we have to do. I will say this blog post is outdated, given that NIST more recently than this blog post's publishing standardized a new set of algorithms. So a few things that are a little out of date here, but I think roughly this all still holds true.
Okay, so it would be helpful to maybe if we could talk at some point about which specific parts of this blog post are outdated, because I have read this. Also, I'm curious. So I'm still getting up to speed on how Recore works, but does it not have to be SHA-512 for it to be post-quantum safe? Because according to the CNSA 2.0 specification, SHA-256 is not going to be sufficient. Could you maybe explain that a little bit more to me, please?
I'm going to preface this by saying I am not a crypto expert, so anything I say may be inaccurate. But I'm not aware of any. It might just be the CNSA is using this opportunity to encourage a longer hash as we look forward to, like, given the amount of work that it's going to take to start switching out systems and their underlying keys and certificates. They might just be taking this opportunity to say, well, let's move past SHA-256 because eventually we assume there's going to be some sort of compromise that is found that's going to force us to migrate. So that would be my guess. I'm not an expert in this space, but I when we talk about the various algorithms that are possible in a post-quantum world, I was not aware that SHA-256 would break. I'm taking like a real quick look at this, and I don't see anything. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like the NSA is like actually justifying why they're doing that beyond just saying that they want to. Here we go. Okay, so I just literally am searching as we're talking. This is a post on Stack Exchange, I think says it well. This is kind of like what I thought. So they're basically saying this standard is meant to survive for decades. And so if we're doing the work to update to a new suite of algorithms, this is a good opportunity to do so. I guess TLDR, we don't have to worry about it in a post-quantum world, just maybe a far distant future where somebody finds some sort of collision that breaks SHA-256. But there's nothing known at this point. So I think we're a bit of a ways out from having to worry about that. And one nice thing that's talked about too with the migration from or the importance of migrating systems that encrypt versus the importance of migrating systems that sign. We can react very quickly if we need to. We effectively just ship a new signing key and publish a new set of keys and would publish a new shard that would support SHA-512 for the leaf hashes. This is obviously different than like with encryption. If you can save something now, you can decrypt it later in a world where we can break post-quantum or where we can break classically encrypted blobs. So this is to say that I think we can react very quickly if we need to. Trevor?
I just wanted to I feel like some things can move quickly with signatures. You can like re-sign existing code with new signatures, but there's like a pipeline and infrastructure around creating signatures and passing signatures around and consuming signatures, and I feel like that's a lot of bits to move. Just because like if you update your signing infrastructure and you publish new signatures with a new hash, that doesn't mean that like all of the folks down to like the trusting end user trying to verify the signature are ready for the new hash that you see. So I think that it's not something that you can actually like roll out in a weekend. I think it's going to take some more extended lead time.
No,
I'm not in like a super hurry for any of this stuff to happen, but I think that it is something that like we need lots of slow progress so that when eventually the shoe drops, there's not a scramble to fix like many links in the long chain.
Yeah, I guess when I say we can react quickly, like I'm thinking on the time span of of months, not of days or hours. The way I see it is with our tough infrastructure, that gives us the mechanism to be able to react, at least to ship new keys, and to also, like, aligned with the sign and config stuff that I mentioned, we're able to very easily say, okay, this is the new Recore instance that you can use. And what's also great about how we've set up tough verification metadata is it's all scoped to validity windows. So we can know that if a thing was signed at a certain point of time and we know that there is no known algorithm that would be able to break a signature at that point in time, users can still trust those old signatures. And then
not with hashes though, right? Like if you can find a hash collision with a malicious content but the same hash, that like
sure,
the
yes, you are right with hash collisions. Yeah. I mean, I think what we'd end up doing, right, if we have to get to with the Merkle tree hash itself, the wider transparency community made a decision to hard code which hash is supported. And I don't really expect much budging there. And the way I see it is if they at some point say, you know, SHA-256 is broken, we want to change to SHA-512, then effectively we'd cut a new revision, a new major revision of Recore, and clients would update to support that new version. And again, this is enabled with the sign and config changes that we're making. Again, it's not something that I expect we can react like immediately to, but it's something where we have the right bits set up where we should be able to roll out such a new log. Yeah, Arthur.
So like I understand the thought process on that. Also, like there are like downstream communities like Red Hat, you know, we need to consider that like CNSA 2.0 is important because like there are downstream teams that are relying on software to be compliant with it because, you know, like this NSS specifications specifically, like to be compliant with that. So I guess I'm just curious, like if this is something that might have to happen anyway, specifically to keep like these pipelines for these large companies like functional in a PQC world, like shouldn't we think about maybe doing some of that migration sooner instead of pushing it off? This is just an open question. I'm curious what people are thinking.
I don't want it to just be my opinion, so I'll keep my opinion very short, which is there's always a balance, I think, with crypto agility, where I think it's good to have flexibility, but it does add more work to clients the more options you have. And I think this is the same reason why the folks who made the C2SP specs have focused a bit more on rigidity rather than agility. And given that there is no known path forward at this point for a collision for SHA-256, I think they're just a little less interested in trying to figure out like hash agility. So yeah. But I hear all the things you're saying. Like I do understand that for all the communities that use this, there's obviously time that it takes to update for clients to pick up new client updates to support the new instances of the servers. All of that has a very long tail to it. There's not one good answer, I guess. Alrighty, cool. Well, thanks for all the discussion on this. I think this is a really interesting topic, and I look forward to continuing to hack away at this with the community over the coming months. Alrighty, well, is there anything else anyone wants to discuss? Great. Well, I hope everyone has a good couple weeks. I'll see you all online.
See you. Bye.